Hello students, here is the guide for your next assignment, which is analyzing a TED Talk. I hope you enjoyed this assignment. It's an easy way to explore rhetorical analysis. And so you will need several documents from the rhetorical analysis folder. There are quite a few documents, and so I will try to go over these rather quickly. Please bear with me. You will need the elements of rhetorical analysis. You've seen this several times, as you should have been using it when you analyze visuals. The appeals in detail, this is very helpful. It breaks down the 3 different appeals and gives you more information on, for example, how do writers appeal to someone's logic, or what are some strategies that speakers use to appeal to our emotions. So I would definitely have that document handy and review it. The Rhetorical Analysis Planning Guide is going to help you write an introduction and a first body paragraph for your discussion post. And then you'll use it again later when you analyze the speech. And then you'll use it again later when you write your essay. And so you should become quite familiar with this handout. PIGSAC is an acronym for the rhetorical situation. And so I would print that up, or pull it up rather. The TED Talk graphic organizer is handy as well. So quickly, let's look at this. You've seen this before. It's the elements of rhetorical analysis. And so it breaks down the different parts. What's the authors, speakers, photographers, primary purpose, and here is the purpose verbs. What is the tone? Okay, and so use this as you complete the graphic organizer. It will help you find the precise language and make sure you're looking at the right elements. The appeals in detail, like I said, it breaks each appeal down into the different strategies. For example, a lot of people, when they think of a logical appeal, they just think, oh, it's facts and statistics. But there's more. For example, when we have allusions to history or literature or mythology, that's a logical appeal. Okay, we are relying on solid, specific evidence to support an argument. So that's logic. Okay, and of course, citing authorities is a logical appeal. So here are some different ways to appeal to one's logic. Ethical appeals, again, is trying to gain the audience's trust. And so Aristotle divides it into 3 types. You have the writer or speaker has to have these 3 qualities. He must be sensible, have high moral character, and be benevolent. The presenter, speaker must have good intentions. That's how he gains our trust. And here's some other ways to gain trust. He's done his research, he's educated, he's informed, and he knows the audience, and he's very respectful to the audience. And right here, this is a little strategy that politicians use quite often. They say we and us, okay, to create some kind of relationship with the audience. So those are all ethical appeals. And then finally, emotional appeals. When you discuss emotional appeals, be sure to be specific. Like, what specific emotion is he appealing to? Is it guilt, sorrow, joy? And so these are different ways that speakers appeal to our emotions. They use the language is the diction. It appeals to different emotions by being very precise and creating imagery. And so that's one way to appeal to emotions. They also use figurative language like similes or metaphors. Okay, and here you see this. They appeal to physical, psychological, social needs, also biases and prejudices. And so these are different ways to appeal to our emotion. So just look at that quickly, because you have to discuss that in the TED Talk. Okay, so we've done this, we've done this. Here is PIGSAC. This is the rhetorical situation. This is how all parts act together. And by parts, I mean the audience, the speaker, the time period, or context. And so PIGSAC is an acronym. Each letter stands for something. So the P stands for the persona. How does the speaker present himself? Is he a parent or a brother or a politician or caregiver, um, a commander? And so these, a lot of times, speakers shift personas in one speech. They will be somebody's patient father figure in one part of the speech, and then later shift to a concerned citizen. And so you have to be aware of the different personas. Intention is the purpose. This is so important to analyze properly or effectively. What does the speaker hope to accomplish? What is he trying to do for us? Genre. This kind of gives you insight into the passage. For example, if it's a letter, then you know it's intimate. It's usually from one person to another person. And so that has different tones, different attitudes, different purposes a lot of the times. And so just be aware of the genre and how it affects the purpose and the tone. What's the subject? Who's the audience? What do they know? What do they believe? This is important because if someone is talking to a conservative and religious audience, he or she will use different types of evidence to gain the audience's trust. And context. You have to know the context, time, place, events. What is going on at the time that has caused the person to write or talk? What is motivating him or her? Okay, so please be aware of the rhetorical situation, or pig sack, as I like to call it. Here we go. You have the graphic organizer. What I would do is I would have this out, and as I watch the TED Talk, just fill it out. Now, eventually you have to make it a little bit more precise and complete, but it's a good place to take your notes, okay? And so you're going to, what's the title of the talk, who's the speaker, what's the date, and the number of views, and the main purpose. This may be the last thing you complete because quite often the speaker doesn't reveal his purpose until the very end. And so his ethical appeals, his emotional, logical appeals, attitude. You can read this. Just fill it out as you view the talk. This is key. Arrangement. What is the shape of the presentation? This is very similar to the visual analysis. Where does it start? Where does your eye start? Where does your eye go next? Where does it go next? And so in speeches, we're doing the same thing. How is the speech arranged? How does it start? Where does it shift? How does it finish? Okay, does it have like 3 parts, 2 parts, 4 parts? How do you know the speaker has shifted to a different part, and what are some of the strategies he or she uses? Okay. Let's see. I think that's it. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, the planning guide. Right here. This is so important. You're going to use this for the next few assignments. So when you analyze a speech, lecture, letter, anything, these are the steps you need to go through. Circle unfamiliar words. Pig sack. Pig sack will help you so much, believe me. And then identify the different appeals that he or she uses. And rhetorical devices, this is a little tough for students to figure out. The common devices are like repetition. Does the speaker repeat himself or repeat certain phrases? That's a rhetorical device. Does he ask a lot of questions? Does he have parallel sentence structures where the sentences match very nicely in the way that they're organized and structured? All of those are rhetorical devices, and you can find all of these, or a lot of them, and elements of rhetorical analysis. If you scroll down, you can see the devices. Diction, powerful words, that's a device. Imagery, illusions. A lot of speakers use illusions where they refer to history or literature or mythology. And so parallel sentence structure. Maybe you might want to just review some of these quickly to see if the speaker is using these different devices. Okay, now for the TED Talk, you really need this right here. How to write an intro, how to write a claim. This makes it so simple for you. Just read it, answer these questions, put it all together, and then right here, it also tells you how to write a body paragraph. Okay, and so if you look at the discussion board, you only have to write the introduction and one body paragraph. And so that's what you'll be doing. You're not writing an entire analysis. You're writing a partial analysis so I can at least see where you're headed. Now here's your talks, and there are links to these in the rhetorical analysis folder. You have Kelly McGonigal, who her talk is titled How to Make Stress Your Friend. She has almost 10 million views. She uses a lot of scientific research to argue that we need to shift our attitude towards stress and see it as something helpful and positive rather than allow it to defeat us. So it's a very interesting talk. We have Sean Aker, whose talk is titled The Happy Secret to Better Work. He uses humor, and he argues that we can shift our thinking and basically change that negative, pessimistic view of the world and our lives into something more positive. And once we do that, we're just happier and we work better and we live better. And so it's really a funny talk, pretty interesting. And then the last one is Before I Die, I Want to by Candy Chang. This talk is a little more sentimental. She does use humor as well, but she conducted a social experiment where she's just trying to get to know people in her neighborhood, in her community, and her little experiment spread worldwide. And so this is really an interesting talk. Okay, all the links to all three of these are in the discussion. In the discussion board. They're in the content rhetorical analysis folder. And so I would just, like I said, pull up that graphic organizer, fill out the information as you watch the talk, pull up the planning guide when you post to the discussion, and write your intro and your conclusion. And you're done. I hope you enjoy. Thanks.